Hello, Marla here with Lifestyle by Marla.
And Joe, Joe with Website Renegade and Lifestyle by Marla.
So today we're going to be talking about the PTSD issue that we still face, and kind of the expectations and the discovery of what we had to go through. I have like nasty paint on me. The girls had crazy hair day today, so I was like, that's what that is, if you're wondering.
And I have dog crap on me because my Dobermans decided to crap in their cage. And unbeknownst to me, I opened up the cage to let them out this morning, and they ran through my clean house I did yesterday.
We just cleaned everything last night.
And they left little particles of poop everywhere. So I kept it together though.
He did keep it together. I was a proud wife.
You won't believe what was going through my mind.
Yes.
Lord have mercy. I was thinking of all sorts. I was just thinking about ending the dog's lives in one moment. Then I thought how sad the family would be another moment. And I thought, whose fault was it anyways? And all sorts of stuff. But I kept it to myself. I relied on God.
Yes.
And
hallelujah.
And we're not fighting right now, contemplating some sort of divorce or something like that.
It could have been bad, but it was not bad. He just cleaned it up. He did.
And I still smell it. You know how when you spray the dog, I washed I scrub these animals, and you still smell it afterwards. You feel like, do I have it on me?
Yeah.
I'm going to shower.
Even after the shower, you feel like.
You feel icky, like you miss something. And I'm like that. That's one of the reasons I'm bald. So like when I clean these dogs with sprays, I go, and I'm done, But anyways.
PTSD. That's what we're here to talk about today.
Now, with PTSD, if I was still back where I started from, this would have been a gigantic issue before.
Yes, it would have. It would have just like triggered him into an angry moment, which would have probably left us for 3-4 days in a fight.
At which point I would have checked out as soon as I vented out, and I wouldn't have cared. PTSD,
it's true,
right? So what we're going to talk about today is, expectation and discovery.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marla's going to tell you about what she expected when I came home from deployment, and how our lives started moving forward. Because we talked about how our journey began last week. So we're going to talk about the expectations and keep on rolling down the road with that, and then we'll explain what discovery is.
So with my expectations had to change a little, becoming a military wife. So if you're a military wife, you probably know your expectations had to change a little there. But I wasn't aware that my expectations would have had to change when he came back home. So, like military life, you want to go on a date on Friday night. You have it all planned out. Mind you, we're newlyweds. So you plan out a date Friday night. He's not home till 8 o'clock at night. We weren't planning on that. So my expectations had to change. Like, we could not plan out dates. We couldn't plan out our life because the military was, there to screw it up for us.
Okay, no, not bad. They just ruined Marla's plans, and you as a spouse could not set plans in place because
right, and that's what was frustrating. But when he came home from Afghanistan, I was not aware that my expectations had to change again. So things that were normal for us, like I talked last week. It was a challenge for us. So, one of the expectations was being able to go out to dinner. We would go out to dinner and we'd be sitting down as a little family, and immediately, at the flip of a switch, he'd be like asking for the food, food boxes to put all our food in. We weren't even done, and he'd be out the door. And that oh man, that pissed me off. I'm just telling you. It made me so mad because I like wasn't clued into anything. He wasn't telling me anything at that time as to what's happening, what's going on. So we just, for years, we did not go to one restaurant. For years. And it was a fight. It was a complete fight getting back to that state.
Well, yeah. And part of the reason was, like, looking back on it, well, even a little bit, we've picked things up along the way because we fought so much, right? It was every time it's like, hey, we want to go out. I'm like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. You want to go to the park with the kids? No, I don't want to go to the park with the kids. And the discovery part of it was I didn't know that I was going to be uncomfortable in those situations. Mm-hmm. All right. It wasn't, some of it was instinct that I'm like, okay, I don't want to be out there where I can't have my back against a wall, where I could protect and defend myself or see it coming before it happened. And then the other one was like we'd go out and like she said earlier, like we'd sit down. Mm-hmm. We may have, I don't think we left as fast as she wanted. She thought we left, but of course,
I think we
were out dining, so any time past before 40 minutes is immediate.
It was abrupt, and it was like, what the heck just happened? How did this even, like, what just happened? He's out the door. He's like, I'll be in the car with the kids. What? Like, so now I have to come. Like, okay, I guess I'll get the bill. Like, it was, we share accounts anyway, so it wasn't like I was paying, but it was still the same. It was still like, what's happening here, And the one thing that really, really hurt was the park, what he just said, not wanting to go to the park with us, not wanting to, have that time.
Yeah, and I had to actually discover when being put in that situation, that I didn't feel comfortable there.
Right.
All right. So it's not like with PTSD, you are aware of what you can and can't do. It's along the way you're discovering these things, and you have to really spend some time figuring out, okay, what is it? What's bothering me here? And most guys don't ever actually dive deep into that situation.
And if they dive deep, they don't dive deep enough.
Okay. All right, enough to, and then we're not, obviously, we spoke a little bit before about being open and communicating.
Right.
Like, communicate where we're going. We are kind of trained to reserve and contain our feelings, and that's due to training that protects us to be able to regulate things. So, you're not going to have emotions out on the battlefield in a sense because it's no place for it. You're out there doing things that you probably would never consciously think of doing, and your emotions cannot get in the way of doing your duty because that could lead to devastating effects, right? So when I got home and I had a little girl I hadn't held in 8 months. She was a month old when I left. So I went out there, all this stuff happened, and I come back and I feel like I'm a stranger in my own place. Like, I felt more comfortable out there in the battlefield, in the battle zone, and the environment I came from.
Right.
And I felt like I could be normal there than I could be back here at home.
And as a wife, that was really painful to hear because I'm thinking, like, we're here, your family's here, everything you're wanting and working for is right here. So how are you going to tell me that you're more comfortable back there? That was very confusing to me and very hurtful to hear. But now I could see, and I understand a little bit more of that. But back then, that phrase would make me angry, very angry, and it would stir up emotion in me to where I would act out, and then I would be angry at him for days because I'm like, well, you should just go. There were a lot of hurtful banter things, that we were just throwing at each other at that time.
Yeah, and then some of the other things we discovered, or I don't know, like ran into, was hang out with people, like hang out with friends and family and relatives. Like I was creating like walls and segregation units. I was building the moats. Right. And I had my own castle, and I was isolating any and all possible dangers or threats to the environment that I was coming into. And at some points in time, even inside of our marriage, there was communication issues because I isolated things that she could. The justification was, there's no way she'd possibly understand. Mm-hmm. She couldn't speak into my life because she has no idea what I'm going through. So why tell her about it? Why engage in it? Even if I told her, hey, if I walked into a restaurant, I have to have my back towards the wall and I have to be able to see everything. She didn't understand that because maybe she wanted to sit in the center of the whole place.
I'm a very social person.
And wanted, like,
I like people. I like to hang out with them.
Like the environment. And I'm thinking, no, we need a corner.
I like to be right in the center of everything, just so I can see.
You see, that kind of stuff, it enraged me because it's like you say, and there came a point in time I just didn't want to argue and fight about it. I'm like, I don't even want to go because I know that we're going to fight about where we're going to sit.
Right.
Why bother? And she's not going to understand. She doesn't care about that. To her, I'm being a prick.
Right. And to me, I was just like, get over it.
Yeah, get quickly. Like, it's just that, done. PTSD, finished.
Right.
You're healed. You're
better.
Again,
it goes back to the thing where he has all his limbs. He has everything that is working. So it's like, if it's a mind issue, just get over it. That's what my thinking was. And that hurt him in the long run because I wasn't understanding and I wasn't being, supportive in that situation.
Yeah, there's nothing worse when you have it and you feel all alone. Right. Like when you're with the people you love the most, which is my spouse, my baby, and you still feel alone. You feel like you feel isolated and you're in the place you're supposed to be most comfortable in. You don't feel like you belong at all.
Right.
And vice versa. The same thing with her, though. It wasn't just like I said last time we talked about that she had PTSD too. And yes, it is true. She undergoes the same exact thing through the emotional aspect of it while I was dealing with the physical. And then at some point, we swap roles or we integrated both of them. Like for me, physical, I went emotional. Not dealing with the emotions, what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to deal with that for like 3-4 years, period. It's just something that's like, it's there. We were trained to lock it up and throw it a key. So why would we engage in this vault? Why would we open Pandora's box? Right? So maybe I could overcome it. So instead of dealing with it, I overcame the situation, but the problem still maintained and still existed. And that is what damaged a lot of our relationship. That's what, looking back on it now, I see the direction that it was going in. And that's something that most guys don't give thought about is the future, the longevity of the situation you're dealing with, with PTSD. And, she did everything she could, honest to God. She brought me my meals. Eventually we started acclimating to it, but it was like built-in resentment. Like I can't do anything, but we're going to try to make something happen here. But then when it came to not going to the park, I was like, okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you know what? Right. I could kind of get around the restaurants and not going on dates anymore, but us going to the park, really?
Yeah.
But my thing was I had a kid detonate on me. So remember when in the early videos, you don't process all that information right away.
Right.
So all that stuff you're dealing with in the rear, when you're back home, when everything's settled, you're off the environment, all that starts creeping slowly back in, and you don't get it in a big, it's not jumping into a pool and just getting it over with. It's a slow leak,
Dealing with it all.
Too. And in order to deal with it all, and it's still leaking to this day, but it's a lot better as far as we are concerned.
Yeah.
I'm still overly sensitive to security protocols. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing a security shirt because I'm security at my church. Right. I told my pastor, I'm not going to go. If I don't have security, these are my babies and my family, and I don't trust them to handle that security the way I would handle it to make me comfortable. So in order for me to feel more involved, to get involved in the church, to even go to church without arguing and fighting.
Because that was the other thing. When he came home, we were very heavily, we love a relationship. We have a relationship with Jesus Christ. We're, heavily involved in church. But when he came home, all that went away. And that was very confusing to me because that was not our norm. That was not the regular thing. That wasn't, who we were. And, every Sunday morning, I kid you not, every Sunday morning for, I would say 2 years.
Probably 3.
2 or 3 years. It was a constant fight. It was a constant, I'm going to cry right now because it was painful. Here we are trying to go to church, trying to go worship the Lord. And it was you know, here we are fighting, you know, like just moments before and we're not a couple that just like pretends like everything's okay. So we would walk into the doors, and we have a home church in North Carolina called Rock Church. And those people were so loving and so caring. And even on our bad days, even on our like, you know, they could see it in our faces. They could see it in our demeanor. They loved us through. And those were really painful times because it was just different. It was just different. We didn't know how to handle each other. I was like, what do you mean you don't want to go to church? And then I'm sure I threw out there, well, church is what you need, you know, like as a mean person. But, you know, looking back on it, what I would have done different is I would have given him grace for his space. And I didn't do that. I wasn't even close to that. I was so far from imagining, you know, from understanding where he was and what he went through, and even caring, because I wanted it to be a quick fix. I wanted it to be, you know, okay, like let's get over this. But the reality of it is that it takes time, and it's a journey, you know, like we're still journeying through this. There's still triggers, you know, this is 9 years into this. So, you know, I would give him more grace. That's what I would do differently.
Right. So right now, if you want to hear more about this particular discussion, how it goes, go ahead and watch the part 2 of this exact video right here, right? Because I think we have more to say on this matter, but we want to keep the video short, so, you know, be cautious in the word of your time.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said,
catch us on the what is it?
Flip side.
No, well, yeah, the part 2, I guess. Catch us on the part 2.
Just hang up. Go away. Bye. This is embarrassing.
Bye.